is there and the postures of the events. This is the admission part of the website where there is this general information and the programs that they offer. These are the merchandise. They have various merchandises like glass bottles, mugs, posters, fabric bags, sweatshirts, and plates, and reindeers, pins, candle holders, USBs, and stationaries. Um, they also promote events on Instagram, and also like the product is on students their work about ear like Bluetooth earphones and stuff, and they have a very consistent theme of posting highlights and stories. These are the Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. They don't have a design YouTube channel. They have a overall university channel where there are many all the courses videos are there for design. There are design talks and documentaries of students, and Facebook and Twitter have similar posts like Instagram has, that are student life, works of students, and events posters.
Yeah, Hazel, you would like to go first with the feedback?
Sure. I think that was pretty exhaustive, all in all. I also appreciated the fact that you guys took the time to analyze things. For example, even color palettes and the kind of typography that was being used at various places. I think again, I would have. I think you guys started analyzing it. I think I would have been interested in hearing a little more about, what you think about how things are being used versus just, seeing your visual research. Any kind of thoughts on what you saw in terms of colleges domestically as well as internationally?
So, ma'am, one thing we noticed is that Nirma uses a lot. Nirma advertise a lot less than compared to other universities. They brand their universities a lot more. Like they have very active YouTube channel, very active social media account, and they also have a lot of merchandises as compared to Nirma.
I think again what Kanupriya had said in the previous thing, sometimes you need a timeline to, like if you're to compare two things, I think sometimes a timeline is more useful because then you get an idea of that this institution is young versus something that has a legacy and thus merchandise, because if somebody isn't brand aware, then the chances of them wanting merchandise of something like Stanford or Howard, people who didn't even go to the university want their sweatshirts, and it's a brand in itself. But when something's young, like does it, then does the merchandising even make sense because you're still building your base, right?
Yes, ma'am, we agree.
Kanupriya, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I agree with Hazel that a little bit of deeper analysis would have helped. Like, for example, you were talking about UID and the dominant use of yellow color. At some places, they've also used orange. Orange is the color of the parent logo. So yellow and orange. So somewhere what they're doing is they're using a combination of yellow and orange, and some places yellow is emerging as the dominant color in their communication. So they are trying to be consistent, but they are also inconsistent at the same time, right? Like for example, the installation that they've put on their campus, the 2 installations I think you showed, is a very good effort. But the minute they are showing some of the pictures on their websites, on the UID web page, there is this entire grid of pictures. Now you have to think, how do they bring in that same yellow color or the orange color? First of all, they should be consistent with whether they want to go ahead with yellow and orange together, or they want to just stick to the yellow and brand UID, create a separate identity for UID as a design institute. So that's a decision that they need to take as an entity, as a design college, which they've not taken. So there is a lot of diluted kind of effort that we are seeing. Okay, so that decision has to come from the design team, the core design team. Then what is also happening is that in their grid that they're using on the web page, now if they are, if they've made the decision that Karnavati's brand colors and UID's brand colors need to go together, then that orange and yellow needs to be reflected somewhere in the pictures also. Now you as students need to see how you can bring in some little design elements of those colors in that grid. Sometimes translucent screens are being used. Sometimes just a little the shape of the logo is appearing again and again. So some of these observations need to come from you, that even in the pictures, how do you bring in those elements that there is a consistency in the design language. And also sometimes what you need to also deeply look at some and this is very, it's not so much in your face, but it is there, and you need to start observing now that sometimes the kind of pictures also being used by entities are also planned. Like for example, they would use specific angles, or they would use screens everywhere which reflect the brand palette, or they would use a theme, which is a very intangible theme, like happiness is the theme. So all the pictures would carry the same mood. So you need to now start analyzing deeper. So the analysis is on surface at the moment, but it's a very good effort for doing it for the first time. It's a very, very appreciable effort. But now the analysis needs to go deeper. That is one thing. Like for example, if you start observing the advertising also that you see every day on TV, if you're looking at Maggie advertisement, you won't realize it, but they are doing a deliberate effort to bring out that yellow color. The model would be wearing a yellow sari. There would be a lot of yellow in the background. The props would be yellow. So what they're doing is they're deliberately reinforcing that yellow color, that brand color. You won't even realize it, but it is happening. So these are the things, these are the nuances that you now need to pay attention to as designers.
Yeah.
Okay, so go a little deeper in your analysis. Now, secondly,
For example, sorry. Go on.
like for example, if you're talking about MIT is also being very, very inconsistent. Okay, somewhere they're very consistent, somewhere they're very inconsistent. Now suddenly they're using a gradient of red and purple. Where did that come from? Now again, the timeline becomes important. Whether they were doing it earlier or they are doing it now. Is the design language deliberately being changed now? Right? That is something that needs to come from you. Again, the very good use of installation where the students are sitting. That's a very good use of installation. So the consistency is somewhere there, but it is also not there. So that consistency is what you need to look at when you are redesigning, rebranding your department. Okay. Then for the other colleges that you talked about, Glasgow University of Arts or the other university. Now, if you see, there is a neutral color palette. Because that neutral color palette, that gives you a room to use pops of different colors. And the other colors that they are using, because see what happens in design, you can't restrict, design colleges cannot restrict themselves to this restrict the students to certain colors. They will use colors, and they will use colors in their design explorations, which will be basically to justify the entity that they're working on, the organization they're doing work for. So there will be very many colors, but that neutral color palettes allows other colors to kind of be visible, and that portfolio to be more strong. The neutral color palette doesn't interfere with the portfolio of the students, or so some of these things, this kind of analysis is now expected of you. Okay, don't be on surface, go beyond. That is one thing. And and clearly there is a very consistent language which Glasgow is doing, and the other college, I'm forgetting the name. There's a very consistent language there, which is completely missing in your domestic, design institutes. So some of these things you need to now observe. Now, while I was in fact looking at the work of the two groups, I could clearly see that what Department of Design might need. Now you also have to start making a list of what you would want to do for Department of Design. They would need a magazine, they would need a newsletter. How would the look of the magazine be? Now they have two separate disciplines, product design and communication design. Does product design and communication design do they need to have a separate language, or do they need to have a consistent language? So these are the things now you need to start thinking about as designers. Okay, start thinking parallelly. What does Department of Design need? Every time you do something, answer this question. What do we need as a department? Okay, some of the events which are consistently happening every year, we are doing it. Redo is happening every year. Orientation Founders Day is happening every year. Admissions is one thing which happens every year. Now we are going to introduce the graduation show. Do we need to introduce a magazine like a Young Designer, which NID is doing? Then what kind of a language would that have? We already have two disciplines, product design and communication design. Do they have to have a separate language, or they need one language but separate color palette for a distinction? So some of these things you need to start answering now. I think enough, but I think Hazel wanted to make a point in between. Hazel, over to you. Sorry, I took
No, of course not. Sorry. I just wanted to say that, when somebody made the observation of the United World, that UID thing in Ahmedabad, I think I like that observation about that the previous kind of identity won't scale well. And I think that's the kind of analysis that, is that I'm actually looking for from you guys. For example, even MIT, I think their logo form, like their mark and their logo type was all over the place. So in some ways, okay, they're consistent with like maybe the kind of typography they're using, but the alignment just goes according to like where they're putting it. And sometimes it's on the left, sometimes on the right, sometimes it's center aligned, sometimes it's right aligned. So I think the more you look at things critically, the more you're going to be able to articulate what the Department of Design needs. For example, if I was to take I think somebody told me this actually, that when somebody was in NID, they had this exercise about to design a good cup. Like they first said, design the worst possible cup. So what is like the worst possible cup? It's like something where it's difficult to clean. You have problems drinking from it. You have problems holding it. Like somebody with a mustache, if they're drinking it, like their mustache is going to get soaked. So I think it's as important to see the inconsistencies and analyze other brands, and also look at them in terms of brands, like not just the visual language, not just are they using it consistently or not. What is I think yesterday we spoke about like messaging and brand. So maybe a Royal College of Art has the idea of, like, what is their brand? Is it one of tradition? What does it evoke in you? And I think same for the Department of Design. Instead of just creating a visual language, I think you guys need to think about this as a brand, in terms of how does it relate to Nirma University. For example, Nirma as a brand has a very long-standing association in most of our heads, in one of, like, tremendous amount of goodwill in terms of being in the market for a really long time. So, what is the Department of Design doing in terms of being a brand, and then that translates visually versus just looking at logos or identity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Hazel's point here. You have to first identify what is that messaging going to be. And that messaging will help you take all other design decisions in terms of color, in terms of how to extend the identity further. So that core messaging, the core positioning, that core mandate of the university or the Department of Design becomes more important here. So you will have to apply your mind in that area as well. So just don't look at it visually, go a little deeper. Okay, good. Can we now move to the
pretty
next
exhaustive,
group?
so that was nice. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, the third group.
Hello. So we are group 3 and the members are Sakshi, Rishabh, Kashmi, Zee, Nikki and me, Astha. So me and Kashmi will start with Nirma's Department of Design. So Department of Design was established in the year 2017 with an objective to offer design courses at undergraduate level. So the admissions to BDS is offered on the basis of UPI exam. BOD offers two disciplines of learning, that is industrial design and communication design. The first year begins with a common foundation year in design. At the end of every year, there is an internship during the 10 weeks of summer vacation. Also, the implementation of internship every year that helps the students to get industry ready and is also very helpful.
Okay, so I'm Kashmi. So here are the Sakshi previous slide. So here are the posters and banners regarding the admissions, and here I've taken them from two different years, and I just noticed that how the color consistency is not maintained, but there is a change in layouts, and the layouts are getting simpler, and it is also seen how they've used the element of Nimbu Mirchi this year, which is majorly tied outside the doors and believed to ward off the evil eye of Lakshmi and evil spirits. Next. So these are the brochures and posters regarding admission dates for registration, studio tests, and interview. So here also I noticed the changing colors. And the left image is from the previous year and the right from the current. But also here the layout is getting simpler and clean in respect to previous year. Next. These are some posters on quotes they post digitally on social media handles such as Instagram and Facebook. And I quite like the layouts here, but again the color consistency is not visible. Sakshi, next. Yeah. So these are the posters on the events such as Redo Fest, which takes place on the campus, and on the left side is the event details you'll find on Facebook, and the posters are also placed on the campus for the awareness among the university about the fest which is going to take place. Next. So there are the posters and banners on the open house from the year 2019 and 2020, whereas in 2019 the university logo of department is used, but in 2020 it isn't used. But as a common observation, layouts are much more interactive and simpler in comparison to previous years. Next. So this is a poster on the online exhibition which took place during COVID and can also be found on the social media accounts such as Instagram and Facebook. Next. These are the Instagram handles where content such as advertisements, admissions, and students' works are majorly posted. And on the right side is the page of on the event and the Redo Fest.
We've lost you. We can't hear you. Kashmir?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
This this is the page by students where they post their works, which also adds to the branding of the department. Next. So these are the YouTube and Facebook accounts, but they are more active on Facebook and not much on YouTube. Next. So this is their website, which has the information about them, the admission process, the events, campus life, news, etc. The banner used here is which I found interesting as they have given the effect as illustration to the image. So here is the merchandise like handbooks, t-shirts and portfolio bag where the identity is used. Yeah. Next. Over to Nikki.
So talking about Watson University of Telangana, and it is located on 200-acre residential campus at Hyderabad. So talking about Watson School of Arts and Design, it is a constituent of Watson University. Like this is the logo they majorly use for their media, and though they have different logos according to their theme. Sakshi, next. These are the pictures of campus I found. These are the advertising posters for the admission of academic year 2021. The courses, like the course B Design, offers 4 different design fields, that is fashion design, interior design, product design, and visual communication. The duration for the course is of 4 years, that is 8 semesters. Sakshi, next. This is the picture I found on media, like advertising their redesign courses. These are the few pictures where Watson have announced their international partnership. Like they have the same theme, though the layout is quite different from each other. There is this list of top 10 design institute published by IARF Education Post, where the Watson ranked the 2nd position. This was the post they mostly uploaded on their all social media sites. This is the website of Watson School of Art and Design. Like though they have the different official one, there is this site which talks only about School of Art and Design, where they include information about courses, few pictures that give artworks of students and their work, and little contact information. So these are the few YouTube videos they uploaded talking about their courses, like precisely on one, like there are different videos which talks about their courses they offer. This is the Facebook page they have. Like they don't have different page for the School of Art and Design, but this is the page that uploads the work of students. And similarly with Instagram handle, Sakshi, next. Here also they don't own their different Instagram handle for School of Art and Design, but this page had a different post related to students' artwork.
Yeah, I'll be talking about Whistling Woods International. So the very first thing that I noticed in the logo of Whistling Woods was that it is a modified like two W's in a way, but it's if you see it closely, it looks like an inverted. It looks like multiple inverted spotlights, which goes to show that this particular school of design is like associated with the film industry and in a way, somewhat like being in the spotlight. Next section. So this is their website of Voxen's Whistling Woods International, and one thing that is very recurring in a lot of their in their posts and like in general are the small catchphrases that they have. Like for example, in this, as you can see, it's called walk in with a dream and fly out with an identity. So there are a lot of these catchy catchphrases that are used in their marketing. Next. This is one of their this is a 2016 admission advertisement that had come out. So this was posted in especially in magazines, and it shows the different disciplines that can be taken here. One thing is that they don't offer the 4-year B design course, but what they do is it's an integrated course for especially in design, filmmaking, and animation. And what really counts in Whistling Woods is the work experience they get, since it is situated inside Film City and is run by the people from the film industry. So they get a lot of work experience, which is something very important in their branding. Next. These are few of the brochures that I found, which again advertises the same things, like such as the disciplines and the date of the entrance exams, and along with the contact details and everything. Again, as I was saying, that the catchphrases. So, for example, in the first one, it says "Many dreams, one place" with the hashtag "More than a film school." So, this was a very recurring factor in Voxen, where they use these catchy, short one-liners to attract attention towards them. Next one. So another thing that I particularly found interesting, this was a part of their website where they had this particular event with Sonu Nigam, where he came to the Whistling Woods School of Music and shared his journey along with the students. So this was another, I would say this is another part of their branding campaign and advertising campaign, where they are showing that we are able to get such celebrities and such famous singers in our college to share their experiences with the students. Next one. So this is a part of their auditorium. This is a part of their auditorium where the event took place, where Mr. Subhas Ghai, the director and the chairperson of the university, is having a talk with Sonu Nigam and an interaction with the students. As you can see, even in the stage, the WWI is in the back, which is a very main thing about the auditorium, where it's showing the college's identity. Next. So this is their Instagram page, where it's a verified page, since the college has a lot of recognition. So that's another part of their branding, where they can say that we have a verified page, and that's mainly a way to say that our college is very famous, and it's a lot of big celebrities and everyone come here. Next one. And this is their Facebook page, where they are advertising for the admissions in the cover photo, along with the different streams and the different paths that a student can take place in. Next. So this is one particular post which I feel is very important in their marketing campaign and in their branding. So this is a special event that takes place, which is called the Whistling Woods International Spotlight, where they take up any of the alumni's works, like if they've worked in any particular film, and they showcase it. So this was among their recent posts where the movie AK versus AK had come out, and there was one of their own student who had worked as an assistant sound recorders, dialogue editor, and ADR supervisor.
Can I ask a question? What is that spotlight thing? Maybe you talked about it and I missed it.
Ma'am, it's a special event. It's a special event where they take up any of the alumni's work. Like since the alumni
Okay.
have passed out from the college
Okay.
and are working in the industry, so it's another
Sorry,
way
I
of
missed
showing
it.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a way of showing that if you come to our college, and we'll be able to land you such jobs and such films where you can work in. Next one. So this is a frame, a still frame that I took from their YouTube video. The link is provided here. So in this particular video, it's this thing where this one girl is pulling onto a rope, like as in a tug of war, and the other side there are people from different professions. At the end, she just lets go and goes back to her camera, and the catchphrase "Do what you love" comes up. So this is a very common catchphrase. Sakshi, if you go to the previous slide, just for a minute. Yeah, so this "do what you love" is something very common. So even in this second picture here, the alumni student, he also uses the phrase "do what you love" in his interview talk.
Add value
Sakshi, next
through
one.
my products.
The question
Yeah,
asked
so this is part of the open house for the animation where they've created multiple characters, and the professor is coming and having an interaction and checking that. Next one.
This is Suresh Ariat. He's a very well-known animator. You should look up. Everybody should look up his website and his work. It's brilliant.
Next one.
So this is the university located in London, University of Arts, Chelsea. Next. So it was established. It was established in 1895. Previously, the name was Chelsea School of Art, and then in 2013, it is well known as Chelsea College of Arts. These are the sub branches of University of Arts London, like.
We lost you. Can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, now we can.
These are the sub branches of the university. They are London College of Communication, London College of Fashion, and etc. Next. Here, in the left hand side, this is the poster made by them. As you can see, hello.
Yeah, carry on.
As you can see, here is the poster made by University of London. Like in terms of background, you can see that the background is like they are providing. They are giving same color themes in the background, and they are offering course guides and giving guidelines about steps how to join the college. Next. This is the poster made. This is the poster. They have similar. You can see that in the previous one, they are having this color scheme, and also this is consistent. Like they are having the same color theme in this poster. This is the open day program. They are offering undergraduate courses. Next. Also, this is in the website. They are giving guides, like they are having different branches of University of London Arts. Also, the layout remains same in all of the posters and all of the brochures. Next.
in the official website, they are providing some of the works of the students. So there are some shots of them. Like this is the students of their undergraduate student who is doing graphical paintings and all. So they are providing all of the photos and their videos in their website. Next. This is the audio exhibition which was held on 2017. So they are talking of the artist lives, how they are doing work, and also they are encouraging all the artists to join the exhibition. So this is the poster. Next. In terms of prints and books, they are having the same color scheme in all. As you can see, there are lots of pinks and blues and yellows in the colors. They are giving the same color theme in all of them, in all the branches also, not only University of London. Next. This is the website made by them. This is the official website. Here also they are using the same layout, and they are also providing undergraduate summer shows.
So, ma'am, the last university that we as a group have chosen, the Academy of Art University, and it is situated in San Francisco. So, this is the logo of the university, and the university is situated on a very busy street. So there's this one building outside which they have put such banners with the name of the university. The university's website, so this is the official website of the university, where they usually cover all the information about what courses do they offer, about how one can apply for admission. At the same time, you can get to know about the campus and what all facilities do they offer at the campus. With that, they have also put an option about online classes, where you'll get to know how online classes are being conducted in the university. So this is their, like, how active they are on social media, like YouTube. So they are actually available in all the possible social media apps like YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And they not only post the work of the students, but at the same time they post up for any events which are coming, and videos of faculties explaining about what is design and why should one participate and maybe take it up as a career. So after that, we come to the posters. So in both the posters, so these are the posters that I found on the website. So in this, they have put information about what their motto is and how can one apply for the university. But the color of the logo is something which is very consistent and which stands out in all the posters and everything that we have seen. So even in the website, which I'll be showing some upcoming photos, the details like the buttons or the outline is of red color. So these are some of the posters where about some events which are happening. So the university is also very involved in sports. So the first poster is about that, and the second one is about again a fest which was conducted in the university. So we can see that the logo, which is very simple actually, so it helps us, so it is very memorizable. So that is what have been used. And at the bottom are the two posters where they involve themselves in the noble cause, like for National Coming Out Day, they had a drag show, then they had a walk against rape, etc. Then comes again, these are the screenshots that I've taken from the website, where we can see that the buttons are of red color and the whole website is designed as such.
So the website also has some online open houses again to get more information about it. At the same time, they have some videos where the students who are already studying, they talk about their experience and what they get to learn at the university about some online education webinars and about financial aids. And one more important thing which I found was the information tools. So this information tool, it helps us, like it helps people who are in different parts of the country or the world to actually have a look at the campus. So over here, you can either go to the campus and meet with the admission team to get a tour of the campus, or they can also provide you with a virtual tour. So you can get to know about what all is being offered by the campus. And then apart from that, also participate in events such as Fashion Week. So that again helps them with creating their brand identity. And last is a store the university has, which sells the university merchandise. So there's a sports team from the university, and these are the kind of merchandise they sell, which includes masks and hats and everything. So that's it.
Yeah, nice. Okay. You want to go first, Hazel, or should I start?
Carry on.
Okay. Now, some very interesting things that you've shown us. I would start with Department of Design. Again, I mean, the feedback is same for all groups. Some of your analysis is at surface. You need to delve deeper and ask the question why this may be happening, or what is it that we need, and why some things are working and some things are not working. If you answer some of these questions, your analysis will automatically become deeper. And with that understanding, when you'll go forward, you will be able to do justice to your own work when you eventually sit down to developing a system or an identity for your own department. So a deeper analysis would be really helpful. I mean, that's something which is common for everybody. Now, some of the things, like, for example, you've only shown that in 2021, there was a web banner or Instagram post which Department of Design did for admissions 2021, and it had a Nimbu Mirchi angle. Correct? So now my question to you is that it maybe worked for a Facebook or an Instagram post, but suddenly there's a very quirky language which is coming forth. So what is it how do we want to position our department? That question needs to be answered right in the beginning. And that will define a lot of things, like, do we want to project it as a very fun place, or do we want to project it as a very serious sort of design college, and they're concerned about sustainability and things like that. So what is that positioning going to be? That question needs to be answered. Or maybe both of these things could go hand in hand. So maybe to attract, say, the young crowd, you do something which is very quirky, which appeals to them. Or maybe when the parents are visiting the website, the messaging is totally different and the positioning becomes different. These are some of the questions that would have to be answered right in the beginning by the students, so that when they carry forward their design work, they're very clear about what they're going to be doing. That is something that I felt needs to be addressed in your presentation. But again, I mean, you talked about Voxons and Whistling Woods. Whistling Woods clearly seems to be very consistent in their visual language. How they're using pictures and how they're using some screens on pictures to re-emphasize the brand colors. There's a very consistent language, and a very good observation made by Rishabh that they're using the spotlights in their logo. And still there are two W's which are getting formed. So interesting observation there. Again, when you were talking about University of Arts London, again, what you were showing was very much at surface. The minute I looked at it, I immediately thought of pentagram. It looked very pentagramish. So last year we showed a lot of videos to you, shared a lot of resources with you, which were from pentagram. So now by now you should be able to see some of these things. Maybe this comes from pentagram. It immediately came to my mind. You check now. Maybe it is from pentagram. It looks very pentagramish. So I think those who've done it, I must go and see whether it's from pentagram or not. Again, use of neutral colors. Why are they using neutral colors? Because there are so many sub entities under University of Arts London that they want to give an independent space to everyone, so that every sub entity can have their own language, visual language in terms of color. So the neutral color palette of the parent brand allows that kind of freedom. So some of these combinations,
pentagram. I just looked it up.
it looked very pentagramish.
Yeah.
It also looked very Paula Scher's kind of work.
Exactly. I immediately thought Swiss design. I was like, this is so Swiss, the typography. I just looked it up.
Yeah. And also they now need to look at the typefaces, because this looks very Helvetica. Okay.
Yeah.
So you now start analyzing. See, this has to be there at the back of your mind, because so many inputs have been given to you. So many inputs have been given to you in typography. All of these things now need to come together. They're not separate compartments. What you're learning in typography course needs to be applied here. The language needs to be applied here. So be a little more mindful when you're doing your analysis. Again, I mean, the last university that you discussed was which one? One was University of Arts London, and the last one was?
Ma'am, Academy of Art University. Yes.
Again, again, very consistent use of colors is what I saw. The red color, how they're using it in all their communication. And for the events, they have a specific language. For the magazine, they have a specific language. Very colorful magazine, and which is being used across different, geographical locations. So some of these things are interesting to know for you as students, and how you can apply some of these things when you are going ahead with your brief with Department of Design. These are some of my observations.
Again, I think because we were on the subject of typography, I think it would be interesting to note that even in my university, the kind of serif face it uses is a very old style serif face. And I think, one must dig deeper into that. I think that what is an old style serif face? What is it telling you about the institution? Clearly, it's a nuance which is communicating lots actually. It's talking of a long-standing tradition versus using a modern serif, which is like a Bodoni or a Dido, which immediately gives you this like very sharp contrast and talks of, even though it's a serif, so it might be more formal than a sans serif, but it's immediately talking of modernity. I think those were some of the things that I was, when you guys were showcasing Whistling Woods versus UAL or Academy of Art University. I was just trying to see how, like Whistling Woods, I like the idea of, the kind of spotlights, and it immediately evokes something of, the industry. But immediately you realize that this doesn't, it needs to apply to so many things. And the minute you take away the gradient, and you won't always have the luxury of a gradient, this means, what does it mean in terms of printing? It means that you will have to spend so much more on digital printing or, versus like a screen printing. You want to reproduce this on a t-shirt, you will have to get it digitally printed versus a UAL identity, which is beautifully typographically resolved. It immediately, I think, gives you a sense of Swiss design, which again the connotations in your mind, there are so many connotations to Swiss design. So I think those are the things, taking an interesting idea but not being able to, maybe it's an interesting graphic, but I'm not sure that it's been resolved fully in terms of an identity, because it stops applying to so many different places where it needs to apply to. The other thing that I loved about UAL was that, of course, the type speaks volumes, in nuances, but also the fact that it represented those subsets really well. So it already allowed room for, the identity expands to, say, London, Central Saint Martins, whatever, Wimbledon, blah, blah, blah. And then if you look at the magazine, I'm not like a huge fan of that kitschy kind of graphics, but what had cleverly been done was that if you look at all of their graphics, it had a CMY. And what does CMY immediately, subconsciously, you're thinking of print graphics, the base of basically graphic design, because anything in print will have CMYK. So I think those were the things that were very cleverly resolved. Even with the Academy of Art University, typographically, again, very strong. I think, the idea of looking at type as form and integration. So I think when you think of a school of design, these are the things you want to see, it immediately, the logo kind of inspires confidence, right? Because you're looking at a school of design, you want to have a logo that inspires confidence. Again, the way they've used it, I think their graphics, even though it changed, from the kind of activism poster to the other posters, the graphics was pretty different, but just that little red dot, it worked so well as a system, because immediately you're like, oh, okay, this is what it is. So these were the kind of observations that were interesting to me. And I think often we get very stuck on just, looking at images or forms, but I think type actually speaks volumes. You just have to really look at the nuances. And that's the thing about type, that what you're reading is one thing, but type is always between the lines. So, when I'm reading Nirma University, I'm actually subconsciously seeing the old style serifs, and that's communicating something to me. So I think it's worth, analyzing the type aspect of things in all of these universities.
Yeah, one thing which I'm seeing is going missing in most of the presentations is that you people have missed out on how this system, the identity system, is extending to spaces. It has been briefly touched by some of the groups where they showed the installations, but there is more to it. So none of the groups have looked at that. It would be really nice if you also touch on that, because what happens is that it needs to extend to spaces, because especially in a design school, the physical space is very important. The studios are very important. So see how some of these things are getting extended to the studio spaces, extended to the say the canteen spaces. How is the brand interacting with its stakeholders in the spaces also becomes very important. So that also needs to be looked at. Okay. Hazel, should we now break for lunch, or should we take another group?
I'm good with anything.
So let's meet in then 45 minutes, because we have 4 more to go.
Right. Yeah, I think if everyone's feeling saturated, then let's take a break now, and then what time should we reconvene?
It's 11:10
to yeah.
So we can meet at 12:30 or 12:45, whatever the students feel. If you can meet in 45 minutes, we are good. But if you want 1 hour, we can meet at 12:45. Students?
What would you guys prefer?
You can write in the chat box.
12:45.
Alright. Okay. Akhil, are you representing the entire class? You are the class rep. He's also the CR. So maybe already people have messaged him and say 12:45. Okay, 12:45 it is then.
Alright. Should I come see you, Kanvir?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Video.